I'm Sarah Russell.
I'm JQ Walker.
I'm Hind, and we are
The Neurodivergent Report, a research-based podcast by and for neurodivergent brains.
In each episode, we'll explore topics relating to neurodiversity and coping strategies by reviewing the literature and discussing current topics.
We will also have interview episodes where we sit down with experts in the field and listeners like you, with the hope that together we can all learn to heal in community.
However you are able to engage, thank you for being here. I feel like I'm always needing working memory supports, and yeah, I've been in my if I read the message without responding, I won't come back to it era, and I'm not super happy about it. Amazing. Okay, well, I think I'm just gonna start introducing you.
Jump on in.
Because this is
we have
awesome.
to do our normal hello, Neurodivergent Report.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You can just use that one. You can use that one. And I'm JQ Walker. You can call me Jay. And this is my lovely co-host, Sarah. Sarah, say hey.
Hi.
Oh, and we're here with our lovely guest.
My name's Abbie. Lovely to be here.
We're glad to have you.
I'm so excited to have Abbie on as a guest. I've known Abbie now for 3 years?
Sounds about right.
Very much always been a really grounding presence in my life, I think. I don't know if it's her voice or whatever, but just wonderful. Just a wonderful human being. A stamp of approval for me.
Sarah stamp. Yeah.
As for what she does, she's a therapeutic coach and counselor who works with neurocomplex clients, folks with ADHD, autism, giftedness, and complex PTSD. Abbie's work is mostly informed by polyvagal theory, which we'll be talking about a lot, somatics, and her own lived experience. She was diagnosed with ADHD in 2021, just like me, and also lives with C-PTSD, just like me. And I think we both really care about polyvagal theory because it's sort of the only thing that's been helping me feel better as a human. I don't know if that's how you feel, but that's very much how I feel. So Abbie, oh my God, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here with you. And thank you for your kind words as well. That warms my cold Australian heart.
Is it chilly?
It's so cold. It's so cold. I have a lot of layers on. But it's all about getting the feet warm, I think. And my feet are warm.
True. That's a big part of the battle.
So I feel pretty okay.
Yeah. Feet warm.
I've been having
warm
numb fingertips. I mean, it's been pretty warm here, but if I get a little bit hungry, then my fingertips go numb, and then I just get cold, and I'm like, oh man, this is terrible.
Yeah. Is that a circulation thing?
It sounds like it.
Because that same thing happens to me. Yeah, I was going to say, the same thing happens to me, and yeah.
But anyway.
Pots Club.
Oh, no.
Pots Club.
I feel like we're going to end up with a kaleidoscope of similarities by the end of this episode.
Yeah, and even though I don't know you, Abbie, I'm excited to get to know you a little bit for our time together today. I can already tell we're going to have a lot of fun. So
yeah. So
I love this.
Yeah. I've been sort of trying to tell everybody a little brief summary of who you are and what you do. But we're gonna dig into that a lot more because I mean, what is giftedness? What is neurocomplex? I mean, those are big compound words. And
I'd say sorry.
And I was just gonna say, I think how we met. Let's see. I think the work that we've been doing for the last several years really makes sense that we end up here. So how did I meet you? We worked together for a time.
Well, can I jump in? Because I remember meeting you, because I think I met you for the first time during my first interview. I don't know if you remember that, but I remember it very clearly. And I remember applying for the role as an exercise because I was certain I wasn't going to forget it. And I hadn't been working, I think, for about 9 months. And I remember just clicking with you instantly. I was talking about all these quite, I think, vulnerable and sensitive things that I tend to keep quite close to the chest. I think we're talking a lot about self-parenting and the nervous system and, I guess, the needs of the neurodivergent community. And I remember both of us being in tears together at one point, and I was like, oh my, okay, there's something happening here. And I think that's happened a
What
few
an
times
interview.
since, but
Yeah.
it felt really meaningful and really special. And I think that was, I hadn't really experienced that before as someone with ADHD talking to somebody else. And I think that was, a pretty key moment for me, realizing how important and nourishing and healing community might be. It was just like a little taste of it.
Yeah. I mean, I
love you.
I
Me in
didn't
tears
have
again.
What a surprise.
I didn't have the exact same experience, but when I met Sarah and because I was interviewing for the same position, we all worked at the same company, although I don't think interacted with you, Abbie. Yeah, I just remember feeling so at ease, it was so easy to talk to you, Sarah. And this was very much at a time where I had just kind of been job hopping a lot, especially just because I would get into a lot of issues. And I think it's a lot of issues that a lot of neurodivergent people face with top down corporations and stuff like that. So just to immediately feel so at ease, and also just feeling everybody's kind of equals, and it was very nice.
Yeah, very much so. Very much the team sort of collaboration vibe that I was always going for. I really stood by my team and my people, and I really value genuine connection between people. And yeah, I think that's just self-evident. So I love you. Thank you so much for both saying that. I feel that's wonderful. And actually a really good plug for anybody who might be listening. If you want to also come talk to me and come see this magic for yourself, we would love to have you. There's a form on our website. It's super easy to find.
Yep.
You should do that.
Back to Abbie.
Hello.
So you were diagnosed in 2021. Like I said, just like me. How did that happen? I don't super remember your story.
No. I think it's hard to figure out how far back to go, right? Because I think
as far back as you want.
I think I appreciate that. I think just for a tiny bit of more backstory, I guess, is I think there are, it's a pretty common experience for those of us who are late diagnosed to have carried a feeling of otherness around with us since we were kids, and I certainly felt that. But the thing that really prompted me to, I guess, seek out a diagnosis, there were two things I think that were sort of converging. One was my master's thesis, and the other was, I think, the rise of, I think, ADHD awareness on social media. So I was doing my Master's of Genetic Counselling, and as part of that course, we did a thesis that was essentially the work involved went for about 18 months, and I did the bulk of it in 2 weeks. Yeah.
Oh no, that's a red flag if you're a coach.
I know. And I sort of compared myself to my peers, and there was a class of about 20, and nobody else was I guess doing it in the same way. And I was, as you can imagine, very hyper focused, but also extremely exhausted and dysregulated. And I think the pieces started falling into place the more I was exposed to and started researching ADHD. The more I was like, this is the thing that makes the most sense. I've been in therapy since I was 18, and the diagnoses that I'd received, none of them ever really sort of made sense to me until ADHD. And I think the important part of it was it's more about what I was hearing about the lived experience of ADHD. I kind of look at the DSM and the clinical criteria and how ADHD looks to people. And I can understand how it can be seen that way, but I think people talking about how it feels really hit me square in the chest. And then I went and got my diagnosis, and they said, absolutely, you have ADHD. There's absolutely no doubt about it.
Yeah, I've heard that from a lot of people, feeling okay, if I were to read the DSM criteria, I'd be I don't know. But if you hear the lived experience of somebody who fits your demographics, especially, you're wait, that's exactly me. And it's great that some practitioners, they are up to date with maybe like how different symptoms can manifest and different symptoms can present. Sometimes I think there's a level of like, even if someone's going directly with the book, I think sometimes we could be blind to the things that we really do struggle with. And that somebody else like looking at you can be like, what are you talking about? You are not good with X, Y, and Z thing. So yeah.
It was really interesting actually as part of the diagnostic process. Interestingly enough, my father was a very organized man, and had all of my school reports from we call it from primary school, which is elementary school for you guys, I think.
Yes.
The psychiatrist was looking through them all and was shocked at how many versions of Abbie is bright, but she's disorganized, she's unfocused, she's a chatterbox, and she distracts everyone around her again and again and again and again and again. And I saw him highlighting it, and then he got to a point where I think he was in the sixth or seventh one. He's like, I don't need to look at it anymore. So it was, I think it's an interesting experience to, I don't know how old I am, 33, kind of retcon your life with the diagnosis as well. Yeah.
I received my diagnosis because I had just watched my child do kindergarten. And only half of that year was sort of in a school setting. The other half of that year was at home during COVID times. And so I was like really there, and seeing everything. So I think, I saw and still see like the very same comments in his report card. And I think that's so sad because we really should know better by now. Like, I think the community is starting to be like, hey, how come this entire generation had the exact same experience and it produced this kind of human? Like, maybe I wonder what would happen if we just accommodated everybody.
Yeah,
crazy idea.
100%. And I will honestly
anyway
die on the hill that, and I'm being really reductive here, but it comes down to a lack of knowledge and a lack of support almost every time.
Yeah.
And often a lack of resources to even do anything about it.
100%. I think with awareness is growing, and I certainly see in Australia that there is, and I mean, like I think I need to acknowledge that I'm probably in an echo chamber because of what I do and working with neurodivergent people.
Sure.
But I do see more resources and more awareness around neuro-affirming practice, which is heartening to see. Yeah, this is obviously a long way to go. But I think we're getting there.
Yeah, and honestly, we are helping to push that needle. I mean, we've been doing that work for a few years now. We were strictly ADHD sort of executive functioning coaches, but then over the years that started to morph and change. And so now we're out here doing our own coaching things because that model doesn't really work for us anymore. Possibly anybody, I don't know. No, I can't judge for everybody. But anyway, so Abbie, I think this is a great chance for you to talk about what you've been doing in your coaching business. More about the neuro-affirming model. More.
Yeah, that was such a good segue. It's actually, I was thinking about this before we started recording, like how I would describe what I do. And it is, I started my practice, I called it SuperConnected essentially because, and I think so many other neurodivergent, neurocomplex people like to look at the whole system of things and how everything's related. So it's sort of from a cellular level to a cultural, historical level to, I think, understand how, what influences our behavior, our beliefs, our emotions, how we can support ourselves. I've always had a really an interest in how people work. I think I came from a pretty difficult upbringing, which then spurred me on to try and understand what happened. And that has really informed a lot of my work. And I think that what I've brought from my own experience, because a lot of my young adult life was I was trying to fix myself for a really long time, and fix what was wrong. And
me?
why does this keep happening to me? Yeah, and I think, I bring this statistic up a lot, but I think it helps to, it's like I think a slice of potentially the neurodivergent or the ADHD experience is that, kids with ADHD get approximately 20,000 more pieces of negative feedback than their neuronormative counterparts before the age of 12. Which really impacts sense of self, and we can talk about RSD, but essentially what it shapes the nervous system. Neurons that fire together wire together, and what I found is
it shapes the nervous system during crucial periods of development.
oh yes. I think that, hang on, I just saw my thought go out the window and I'll let it come back in.
Take your time.
I was talking about my own experience. So as part of my own journey with mental health, I think I made a big turn when I got my ADHD diagnosis as to how I was approaching it. I was doing CBT therapy for about 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was pretty persistent, but it didn't really move the needle for me. I think it was wonderful to have, I had a lot of therapists that I think were really beautiful, warm, relational people. And I think it was important to have somebody in my corner, but it didn't help with the disassociation, the emotional flooding, the task paralysis, the burnout, cyclical burnouts, all of it. They would still happen.
What did they call those? Mood symptoms?
Anxiety and depression is what I got.
And again, it's so not to make you feel like you're, because everybody has, their own specific things with their own experience, but this same story I've heard so many times that people be I was trying so much and I felt like therapy wasn't working. And then you find out that you actually have ADHD, and that kind of then actually addressing, I guess, building skills and also just being aware of how your brain works is
100%.
usually the thing that helps. I've also heard something about ADHD and autistic people feeling that CBT therapy isn't always the best because they're very aware of what is going on. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're very, and I'm sure, you listening, and I wonder if this has happened to you guys as well, is that experience of being hey, you're so insightful and you have a really good understanding of what's going on and why it's happened and why you're feeling this way. Great. And I'm it's not helping me. It's actually making me feel worse.
Yeah, thank you. That is the problem. That's why I'm here.
And we have, we're pattern recognition machines. We have bottom-up thinking, so it makes sense that we can understand, I guess, the constellation of things that have led to where we are. But that doesn't, I think part of the CBT absolutely has its place, right? But I think part of the issue with it, and part of talking about insight and cognitive reframing and all of those kinds of things and top-down approaches, is that it kind of reinforces this feeling, and I don't know if you guys relate to this, but this feeling or this experience of just being a brain, that's moving around the world and experiencing the world. And your brain is not experiencing the world, your body is, right? And so the thing that really changed the game for me was, after a particularly apoplectic, I guess, burnout, the worst burnout I've ever experienced in my life, I ended up in a very fortunate position where I was able to access EMDR. And that was the beginning of me making that huge 180 and being oh, this is what's been missing the whole time.
Was that your entry into woo-woo polyvagal theory?
I had been reading about it, but similarly, as a absolutely chronic intellectualizer, that is where it was in my mind, and I had no capacity and no entry point. And I think, we talk about challenges with sort of interoception, and, if you have a trauma history, sitting in your body may not be the safest thing to do.
If you have
when you're
chronic
beginning some of this
pain
work,
conditions,
100%. And
sitting there and feeling what your body is feeling is no, that's what
I'm so sorry.
I specifically am trying not to do this.
Yeah. But for me, and I guess some people listening who might not know either, what is EMDR? What does it stand for again?
Eye movement desensitization reprocessing.
That's what it was. I knew it was eye movement something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting. It's based I should let me find her name.
It's like bilateral eye movement
Mhm.
sort of therapy.
What is her name?
It's not coming to
Her
me
name
either.
is Francine Shapiro. So Francine Shapiro, I believe she was a neuroscientist or psychologist.
Mhm.
And she developed EMDR in I think it was like the early 1980s. And she realized that when she was going on her morning walk, that when she thought about things that were difficult or that were activating for her, that it wasn't, it was blunted on her walk. So she was sort of able to, I guess process things a little bit differently on her walk and sit with things that were maybe too difficult to sit with when she was still or when she was doing something else.
Mhm.
And that was because when you go on a walk, your eyes naturally move from side to side.
Wow.
So that was, I think, from my understanding, I guess the birth of a therapeutic modality that's particularly good for trauma, where you lose, because you can use tapping, like you can use butterfly tapping when you cross your arms over your chest and tap your shoulders. Some people, when I did EMDR, I had two little buzzy like pebbles that buzzed in my hands that were alternating because I just couldn't do the eye movement. It was too quick for me.
Mm.
But it's essentially based on bilateral stimulation, being able to nervous system reactivity so that you can revisit and process traumatic memories without getting flooded.
Wow.
Absolutely. I think what EMDR gave me was an entry point into my body that I had never had before. I had been like my home away from home is the freeze response. So I'm an absolute masterful disassociator. And I think I had left my body very young. And
Sorry.
there's a cat on the screen and I'm enjoying
Yes.
it.
He's trying to settle down and he's not okay. I think he doesn't like the cords and
bilateral
everything.
stimulation, dude.
Yeah. Sorry. So sorry.
No, that's okay. So I think I had been, I know that I'd been disassociating from a very young age. I had my first migraine when I was 4.
Hi.
And I was diagnosed with arthritis when I was 18 months old. So I think there was a lot of stress in my system from very early. And yeah, EMDR, and I think shout out to Caroline if she ever listens to this. But Caroline, my EMDR therapist, was just the warmest, most nurturing person to carry me through something that was really, honestly, like pretty uncomfortable at first. Therapy had become a place where I knew what to say and how to say it. And this, I think it's important, I think, to acknowledge that moving into the body and interoception and the felt sense of our emotional experience is really difficult, and it can be scary and it can be confusing because there's no right answer, and there's no right or wrong way to do it. It is just about connecting with your body and starting to I guess develop a relationship with a genuine relationship with yourself. I mention this a lot. I saw this A-frame outside of physiotherapists near me, and I think about it all the time. And it says that if you listen to your body whisper, you don't have to hear it scream, right?
Yeah.
And I think that that is, if I could give the work that I do a tagline, that is kind of it.
I need that on a poster. I need that like in front of my desk every day.
I need that like written on the inside of my glasses.
Yeah.
So, and I think that, what you're talking about before, Sarah, about coming from being executive function coaches, I think there is absolutely a place for those top-down interventions and executive function interventions, but you cannot, applying cognitive strategies to a dysregulated system adds dysregulation to the system. It adds pressure. You can't cognitively reframe or plan your week out of shutdown or freeze or an activated state. So somatic.
Believe us, some of us have tried.
Oh, I tried. I know. I'm with you. Sometimes I still try. I'm like, what are you doing?
What are we doing here? Yeah.
So it's, polyvagal and somatic interventions and, working in a relational way, with an understanding that every single thing the body is doing, your behaviors, your beliefs, your emotions, are data to work with. They're not good or bad. It is information that we can respond to, and a lot of it is protective, and understanding those protective mechanisms and how they developed can help sort of unravel those things and create more freedom. So it's really about bringing the whole system online so that executive functioning can be like an emergent property of that, of a more grounded and connected state.
Right, because you mentioned this earlier and I didn't jump on it, but our sort of fight, flight, freeze responses, they develop out of necessity from sort of a stressed out system. And so while they may have served you in that situation when it was developed, maybe it doesn't serve you 5 years later when you're living in a new place with new people in a totally safe and what you perceive as a safe environment. You know, there can still be like that smell that sets you off, or whatever, maybe even just a time of year.
100%.
Yeah. But sort of the point is that like it's not bad and you're not broken. Actually, you're very adaptive and you're just sort of struggling to like keep yourself safe right now in a way that makes sense to your body and your brain.
100%. And you know, I kind of say this as a joke sometimes, but I think it can be really grounding. Is, you know, we share parts of our, and when I'm talking about the nervous system, I'm talking about the autonomic nervous system, which is responsible for a lot of involuntary reflexes, and it's intimately related with, of course, our whole body's intimately related, but it is connected to the emotional centers in our brain, our perception of the world, the default mode network, which I can talk a little bit about later if you like. You know, but I think that the most important, if anyone would take anything away from, I think, this kind of work, it's that your nervous system is doing its best to survive in a world that hasn't always felt safe, and it is doing exactly what it's designed to do, and things couldn't be any different based on your experience, which I think, you know, I also come from, you know, a bit of a radical acceptance, and you know, I mean, DBT is based on Buddhism, and I think there's a lot of wisdom there about being able to sit with things from a more neutral perspective. You know, it might be your nervous system is doing the best it can to survive, but you don't have to like it.
Yeah.
Feel good all the time, and it's not meant to. You know, and I think that, you know, it's not about being regulated all the time. It's about creating enough safety in the nervous system for you to be flexible enough to move between states without getting stuck. And a lot of us I get stuck in my home away from home is freeze. I get stuck in the freeze response. Yeah, and I think I also just as an addition is we talk about. I think there's a lot of talk about, I think, the nervous system and safety at the moment. I just want to. Safety doesn't always resonate, and I think that the way that I would describe safety is it's not just like an absence of threat or an absence of danger or an absence of. I think an absence of threat or danger is good, but it's also the presence of connection, and that can be connection to self or connection to others.
That is beautiful.
I think that a lot of neurodivergent people now, I feel like there's so much more awareness, so much more community. And like you were saying in the beginning, having that moment of connection with Sarah in the interview where that feels safe. Again, not only it's the absence of danger, but the presence of connection and finding your people. That was beautifully said.
Oh, I appreciate that. I think that the other part of it is, you know, if you have a nervous system, and, you know, this is, I think, especially true for people with complex PTSD, is that one of the lessons you learn with complex PTSD is that connection is dangerous, and that other people are dangerous. Creates a bit of an internal bottleneck because human beings are wired for connection and belonging. You know, so it can be a pretty lonely and isolating place to be. So part of the work oftentimes is, you know, very, very slowly allowing connection in. You know, if I talk about that experience with Sarah, I think it stuck with me because it kind of like was a lot to feel that for me, and that can be overwhelming. And so, you know, I think it is important to I think really with this kind of work, it's really important to be relational and to create, I guess, like safety in real time with someone's experience. You know, it's normal if you have tried meditation before, like breath practice, and it is intolerable, that makes sense, right?
Yeah,
That's
I
not safe
hated
for
it
for
for a
everybody.
long
yeah.
time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Of
really have
course.
to work and experiment and find like smaller ways to make it comfortable for you, because that doesn't mean like you're not like a failure if you can only breathe for 10 seconds or for 3 seconds.
100%. And I think that that's, you know, the thing that, you know, it's embedded in me as well, is like the thing that I really struggle with about some of the models around ADHD and neurodivergence is the idea that there are like specific things that are going to produce a particular outcome. You know, like using this strategy is going
As
to,
if we're all the same.
as if we're all the same and we've all had the same sorts of experiences and our neural wiring is the same. We
Yeah.
know for a fact that that is not true. We share a lot of experiences. You know, I mean, part of the reason why I love my work is because everyone is so interesting and different, and they come from different places. And so I think that, you know, just going back to saying what I was saying before, is like, you know, every response to even interventions that you try is data that can guide you. And I guess the guiding principle, generally speaking, is that, you know, if we're looking at, I guess, like nervous system strategies where we are looking to introduce more safety in the nervous system, I always say if you feel 1% better, then we're going in the right direction. You know, I used to have the expectation that, you know, if I do X, Y, Z, then I'm just going to feel good forever.
Yeah.
And it's like, I wish I could offer myself or anybody that, but that's just not the human experience.
There it is, all better now.
Yeah, all better forever.
Never
I
took
don't
care
have
of
to do
that.
anything ever again.
One thing that you mentioned before that I'm interested in, and if we were opening up like a whole can of worms, we could save this for like a specific research episode. But you've been mentioning, and we've been mentioning, polyvagal theory. And there was also one
Yes.
thing that you said before that you said you would explain more. And I forgot
Default
what it
mode
was.
network.
Default mode network.
So yes, we are gonna, so I'm actually wrapping up this episode right now, and then we're
Okay.
gonna do another episode. I think before we, yeah, totally. Because I do want to dig into that. We haven't really done that a lot yet on this podcast, but yeah, I think we should just talk about another nervous system exercise. And since this is video, we can like lead them in a thing. Yeah,
You know what I'm gonna do.
What's your favorite?
The seaweed.
The seaweed. Yeah. Okay.
Seaweed.
I love the seaweed.
I'm going to teach you the seaweed. Let me just. So there are a couple of reasons why I love the seaweed. So we know that for activated nervous system states, so if we are in fight, flight, you know, freeze kind of falls under this umbrella as well. And I think for the purpose of the seaweed, we can use it for all dysregulated states. What's the best way to explain it? Essentially, the seaweed, what we want to do is you can do it seated or you can do it standing up. And just think about your body from the base of your spine to the crown of your head. And all you want to do, and I know this can be agonizing for someone with ADHD, but bear with me, is move the very small, the slowest, smallest movements you can make as if you are seaweed underwater. So, and I always like to anchor my hand on my chest. I find that a grounding thing for me. So that's why I'm doing that. And so if you're trying this right now, I would encourage you to go slower and smaller. A couple of reasons why this can help with regulation and introducing safety into the nervous system. The first one being that it allows the brain to map what is happening in the body. And what I mean by that is, you know, if we've been disassociated, or if we've been in our heads all day, feeling really anxious, and we haven't or we don't check in with our body, not that we haven't had a chance, maybe we don't. Putting this much cognitive effort, because it is effort to move small and slow, means that the focus is on the body and we're paying attention to the body and how the body is moving. And it gives the brain a chance to catch up, essentially, with what is going on. So you might notice when you do this that your traps are really tight, or maybe that your eyebrows feel sore because you've been frowning, or that your jaw muscles feel really tight. Shout out Team J crew.
Yeah, well, I don't know how excited to be about that, but
you can talk more about that too. So, you know, so here we've got, you know, an opportunity to encourage interoception and also, you know, doing a lot of cognitive work, essentially, because you're moving so slowly and in such a small way. A lot of us would probably want to go like this, like no, 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 no.
Yeah.
And
Walk
the other part
in,
of,
think
yeah,
about the
right,
small movements. Yeah.
tiny and slow. And secondly, we know that I really like this, I think, just from a kind of, I guess, almost like a logical perspective. Evolutionarily speaking, if you're moving very slowly in a small way, in a relaxed, soft way as well, that is sending messages to your nervous system that you're not in danger, because why on earth would you be doing that if you were in a survival situation?
Makes sense.
Yeah. Which sometimes I think, like I like to bring a bit of humor into it, but because I think sometimes it can be a helpful frame of reference for things that you might be able to do, and interesting ways that you can support yourself. And, if you put it under that lens, like, would I be doing this if I was being chased down by a stampede? And if the answer is no, then, it may be helpful and supportive as a safety cue for you.
Yeah.
So that's the seaweed.
I love the seaweed.
Also love the seaweed.
Oh,
The seaweed is great. You can really do it almost everywhere because the point is not to move very much.
Very subtle.
Yeah, totally. So you could, I mean, yeah. Maybe it's super easy for us bendy people too. Like maybe this is like our one advantage.
maybe. We gotta get something. We gotta get something. Other than, like, I guess
anyway.
sometimes it's like, oh, the soft skin, it can be nice, and sometimes, but also it gets damaged all the time. So
Yeah. You
Yeah.
delicate little flower.
Yeah. And I think it also, just to say, like, if that isn't accessible to some people and some people's bodies can't move that way, any slow movement that you can make with any part of your body in a small and slow way will be supportive and help bring on, upregulate. What we're trying to do is upregulate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the one that will essentially help to dampen the stress response. We're trying to essentially create micro interruptions into the stress cycle.
I just noticed I just yawned, and I'm like, well,
beautiful.
That means it's working.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're looking for a yawn, a swallow, any kind of shift.
Yeah, right. That is a really important observation. I'm so glad you said that because a lot of us don't really know what a shift feels like. Like, what does it feel like when I'm done? Like,
Yeah.
am I going to magically feel better? Am I going to be tingly? I don't know, maybe. But you might just yawn. You might
or sigh.
A burp.
Yeah. You might hear if your stomach rumbles. And I think actually a lovely, and I think I should have done this in the opposite direction, but a lovely way to gauge whether, if you're looking at like a somatic practice or a polyvagal theory-based practice, is to check the range of movement in your neck. So look to the right and then look to the left, do the practice and then do it again. And if you've got more range of motion, what has happened is there's been an unraveling of tension. And that's what can sort of help cue you to see what's happened, because we all seem to love data and want to know if things are working. Even though I try and in moderation.
Yeah, that's a good one too. Physical therapists are out here with like some hidden trauma knowledge.
No doubt about it.
It's like they know.
No doubt about it.
Amazing. Abbie, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on my website. It's superconnected.space. And you can reach out to me. There's a little form where you can reach out to me, and we can talk. I'd love to meet anyone who's interested in doing this kind of work.
Yeah. Yes, and she's lovely, and you definitely should at least go check out her website. So I think
actually, I'm also I just remembered. I'm also I think part of my own journey and part of the journey I've noticed with clients, a lot of my clients are creative. You guys are, like, I know you are, Sarah, Jay. Yeah.
I got some creativity.
Yeah. I mean, we all do. And I've noticed that, particularly for people who've been in burnout cycles, or who are coming to do sort of, I guess, nervous system work, access to creativity seems to be really difficult. A lot of people come and they're like, I really love doing this stuff, but for some reason I can't do it. And there are some very good explanations for why not, and none of them are anybody's fault. It's a natural, again, why would you be, I don't know, crocheting if you were being chased by a leopard? Probably not. I mean, you could. That'd be very impressive.
Yeah.
But I am in the sort of putting together with an art therapist group, so people can come, we can learn a little bit about the nervous system and how to I guess lower the barrier to entry to creative practice and do some fun sort of creative things together. So there's a bit of co-regulation, a little bit of education, and making some fun stuff. That will be, I'll put information about that on my website when it looks, I think we're aiming for July.
Amazing.
Wow. Yeah, that does sound great. I think when you're already in a state where you really need this stuff, you can't, like, trying to do more, trying to add more to your life is like, please no. And also even just knowing where to look to find someone who knows, what you're saying, that can be a huge challenge. But maybe the algorithm will bring us the right people, and maybe it doesn't have to be a challenge anymore.
We shall see.
Amazing. Wonderful. Okay, so actually, my formal last question is a random card pull. It's a random card pull.
That's fun.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever heard of this company called We're Not Really Strangers, but they make like relationship building cards and stuff. I hate coming up with examples, so I love it when people send me examples.
Me too.
So they sent me like a confidence booster deck, and I wrote it on little note cards with my colored scented pens.
Of course you did.
They smell like Fruity Pebbles. Okay.
I want to know what Fruity Pebbles smell like. Sarah knows I have a bit of like a weird obsession with like North American cereals, but we don't have them here.
Yeah, that's actually one of my favorite facts about Abbie is that I'll just send her random pictures of American cereal.
Yeah.
Not like to brag, but just to be like, oh my God, look at this. This is crazy.
Yeah, sometimes I'm like, how does this exist? Because even like the regular ones, even some of the ones that are marketed as healthy have like insane amounts of sugar, but like they don't even, I guess, sugarcoat it, for lack of a better word, where they're like, we have Twix cereal and Reese's cereal. Like, we have candy and Oreo cereal.
Cocoa
I'm like, guys,
Pebbles with marshmallows now.
What are we doing?
Why? Don't worry, RFK Jr. is going to take care of it.
Yeah. Thanks.
What a king. We only have Fruit Loops. That's like the worst cereal that we've got is Fruit Loops. Quote unquote worst.
I was never a big
I don't like to moralize things. The most
they smell better than they taste.
Sweetest.
I feel like Fruit Loops and Fruity Pebbles are similar now.
Are similar. Similar smell.
I listened to a podcast called The Empty Bowl, which just it's got the sounds of waves underneath it, and it's so low stakes, and they just talk about US cereal, and it's great. If you keep this in, that was 100% a plug.
That is so niche. Oh my God.
Yeah. I'm gonna go find them.
Yeah.
It's good. They're funny as well.
Tag them. We'll make a short and we'll tag them.
Please.
Okay. So the question that I have for you, describe a time when something unexpectedly worked out for you.
I feel like every time something works out, it's unexpected.
Every time. Yes.
I think probably this is a nice way to go full circle, but I think getting the job and starting ADHD coaching, I really, I'd come from genetic counseling and I was doing academic research and all of those sorts of things. And that was a huge shift. And it was very much like a let's see how this goes. And it has worked out. And I'm now in a place where I'm very fortunate to have my own practice and be able to do work that I really believe in. So that's been really unexpected. If I traveled back in time to 2 years ago and said that this is what is happening, I would be like, yeah, right, dude. Sure.
Crazy. Is this a dream?
Yeah. Nice glasses, nerd.
Wonderful. I love that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love you.
Love you. Thank you both. This has been really, really nice. I think we could talk for a really long time.
Yeah, and we
Yeah.
will talk again when we
probably
do our
true.
research episodes. So this is not the last you guys
Beautiful.
have heard of Abbie. So
Yes. Drum roll. Let us know if you want to see Abbie again in the comments.
Yeah.
Nobody ever comments.
or just let's
It'll just be me going, yeah,
let's
she was
incentivize
alright.
them to comment. Let's be like, what's your favorite American cereal? Let us know in the comments. Yeah.
Love that.
Yes. I'm looking for
Please,
new...
for me.
Yeah. Abbie needs to know, guys.
I
Come
need to
on.
know.
Please.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right. Well, bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for being here. If you want to connect with the Neurodivergent Report, you can find us at ND Report Pod on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, YouTube, Blue Sky, Substack, etc.
If you're looking to support the show, the best thing you can do is subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. Please do that.
And hey, if you want to check out more about us, visit our website at ndreportpod.com. And you can also go there if you want to be a guest contributor on the show.
Until next time, be well, do good.
Bye.